Great. Thank you very much, Aoife, and good morning to everyone who's joining us this morning. Thank you for joining us for this session, which is going to talk about unlocking your online potential. I'm delighted to be participating in this business support webinar series, and thank you to HNI and Aoife there for the opportunity to do that. So just to cover the approach for the next half an hour, I'm going to take the next 10 minutes to share with you some of the key ingredients for online success. So whether you're thinking about going online for the first time, or maybe you're already online but not reaching your full potential, hopefully there should be lots of nuggets there to take away and consider. Then I'm delighted to say I'll be joined by Colin Murtagh, owner and managing director of Murtagh's Top Line. We have recently onboarded Murtaghs.ie onto the E-Commerce platform, and I must say it has been a wonderful experience for Magico to work with such a progressive, diligent team in Murtaghs. So Colin is going to come with join us today to share with you some of his experience of getting online, warts and all, and why he feels embracing online is important for this vertical. So let's get started. So what are the key ingredients that you need to be successful online? So what are the things that you need to invest time into to ensure your online store returns value for your business? And that's probably an important point to start on. Success online is not just about getting your site live, if only that's all it was. Success is the point at which the investment you have made in terms of money, time, resources, that point where it actually returns value for your business. And unfortunately, that success won't be immediate. And unless you are aware of and taking actions in the items listed on this deck, then success and ultimately a profitable channel will be quite hard to reach. So what are those ingredients that you need to look at? Okay, so you need to know your customer. You need to get live fast. You need to know your business. You need to know the numbers. You need to think omni-channel, and we're going to explore what omni-channel means. We're going to look at the impact of optimizing your operations, and we'll also briefly look then at understanding the customer life cycle and understanding how the customer moves through that. So we'll explore all of those now in a little bit more detail. So let's jump into the first one, know your customer. So who is your customer? And this is an important question for you to ask, regardless of what stage you're at in the online journey. So who are they? What age are they? What media channels do they interact with? What do they value? So if you're going to invest time and money in the very early days to acquire customers, then it's really important for you to know what media channels your customers interact with, because otherwise your investment is going to be in vain. And it's a really big task, particularly at the start, to gather product assets. So when I say product assets, I'm talking about the descriptions and the images that you're going to put online. So it's a really big task to do that. So it's important that you use those resources and your time internally, the time from your team. Use that time wisely. Select the right products for your customers so that when you do invest in activities then to attract these customers to your site, that they'll see products that they connect with. That will generate a desire for those products, and ultimately then they'll purchase them. So knowing and understanding your customer, it's really, really important. And as I said, keep asking yourself that, regardless of the stage of your online journey. Get live fast. So get live without delay. Every day that you're not live, you're missing an opportunity to generate value for your business. Online is an additional revenue stream of revenue. Potential to generate profit, and a way to capture and build a loyal customer base. So don't be waiting to make it perfect. It'll never be perfect. It'll never be finished. But get online, and get online with that critical mass of products and have a plan to get more and more products live. We talk about an 8 to 10 week build typically. And when you do go online, get your digital marketing onboarding tasks in place. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about things like Google Analytics, your conversion codes, your Facebook pixel, all of those tracking elements. And that's by doing that, it allows you to track the performance of your site so that you can kind of see the impact of incremental changes that you're making, which leads me on to the next screen here, which is to know your business. The numbers matter. Don't be an ostrich on this. Understand your key performance indicators right from the start. Analyze them, track them. If you don't know what's working, then you're going to waste valuable time and resources and money trying to be successful online. And I know it can be daunting. And we talk to retailers all the time who say, oh, I look at Google Analytics, but it's tricky and can't pull out the numbers. But if we talk to the most successful retailers on the e-commerce platform, they're looking at these numbers daily. They're seeing what's successful, what's not successful. They're tweaking activities, tweaking campaigns around that. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about things like revenue by day, by week, by month. What's the percentage increase or decrease this quarter versus last quarter, or this quarter last year? What are my sessions per month? What's my conversion rate? Has that dipped in the last week, or has there been a peak? And if so, what has caused that peak? You know, is there an individual out there with a social media channel, with a following, who has commented on maybe a range of paint or a Cratcher piece of equipment that they're using and tagged up your online store as a location where you can purchase that product from? And has that generated footfall into your online store, maybe footfall into your business, and has your conversion rate peaked as a result of that? Now, what can you do to build on that? You know, can you spot that opportunity? Can you build on it? Can you build better signage in store? Can you feature that product on your homepage, feature it on an email campaign? And really, I suppose, take advantage of it and build on the success. And are you watching what's going on in the media? You know, many of you will have suppliers who might run a radio ad, might promote a new product. Have you responded and featured that product on your homepage, promoted on your social channels, sent an email campaign? So looking and being aware, spotting trends, and knowing your numbers and being able to react is key to you being able to build on success and make the most of these opportunities when they arise. So in the modern retail environment, customer shopping is omni-channel. What do I mean by that? So you're now online, and when you're online, you can generate a revenue channel for your business. But that revenue channel, the online channel, can also drive footfall into your stores, which can increase your revenue in store. So for you to get real value from online, it's important that you understand how your customer shops. So let me give you an example. I'll be at home this evening. I'll be looking on my social media, my Instagram or my Facebook page. I'll be scrolling through. I might see an ad about your business. I'll go to your online store and I'll be looking at your online store. I might actually purchase something online and elect to click and collect and pick it up in store tomorrow. I'll go in store tomorrow and I'll pick up 3 or 4 more items when I'm in there. I am one customer and I've used all of those channels. Or what about your customer that might be in store right now, may not convert in store now, but will go home, sit with their partner later on this evening and actually decide to complete the purchase online. So if your customer is shopping through all these channels, you as a retailer need to be thinking about these channels. And it's really important that you're thinking about these channels in a very holistic way. You can't think of each of them as silos. How do they, you know, and I suppose we all look at the big seasons that happen every year. So your peak shopping season. So it might be your January sale, might be Father's Day, the barbecue outdoor living season, your back to school season for electronics, maybe some of your Black Friday. All of these seasons happen every year. And if you're planned and have your 12-month comms marketing calendar in place, you can plan for what you're going to do across offline, online, and social channels and email marketing campaigns, and do that in a holistic way so that each of your marketing activities complement each other. If you plan in that way, you'll get a much better return from peak periods because you'll be prepared with better graphics, better stock of your product. And when you have a planned approach, then you're much better placed to be dynamic and respond to those out of the blue opportunities, like an influencer talking about a specific product and all of a sudden drives enormous traffic to your site. So that's really important to consider that. And when you are live, when you go online for the first time, there's a real tendency to get really excited, just like this gorgeous little girl here on the right hand side of the screen, get really excited about all the fantastic things that you can do in your site. You can plug in this plugin or add this new feature. And what am I talking about there? I'm talking really about personalization, intelligent site search, product and service reviews, online chat. All of these things are, and no doubt they're all brilliant, and all have the potential to give you an uplift of 10 to 15% in your revenue. But there's only value in it if you're trading at the level where the uplift in revenue will pay for the increased cost of that subscription. And also remember, you need to allow time from your internal team to optimize the functionality of that new feature to achieve that 10 or 15% uplift. So yes, add them, but be considered what you add and give it the time required to optimize it for your business so that you really get value out of it. And another way to bring value to your operations, this time in terms of reduction in operating costs, is to look at the integrations in place between your online store and maybe your EPOS, and maybe your warehouse management, your delivery providers. Because as your e-commerce business develops, you can remove some of those manual steps or those inefficient steps in the process and reallocate that time back into value add activities, and therefore bring more success to your business. And I want to finally talk briefly about unlocking success through the customer life cycle. So much time goes into your product catalog, getting your site looking well, and all that energy goes into it. And then there's, there can be a little bit of fatigue, and that common myth sets in, oh, we've it built now, sure, we'll sit back and wait for them to come. And unfortunately, build it and they will come won't make you successful. And that time is really wasted. The time you've used to build your site, it's really wasted if you don't woo and attract your customer base. And how are you going to do that? It requires time and resources, financial resources in marketing. So basically, you want to get as many customers as possible into that big red awareness bucket at the top of the deck. Okay. And some of those customers will then be interested in your products and they'll drop down into the blue bucket. They'll have interest, and that will generate a desire and a result in a conversion down into the green bucket. But the real success for you in online is ensuring that that customer that you have acquired and sometimes paid to acquire becomes a long-term customer of your online store. So that one attraction results in a loyal, repeat customer. So thinking about bringing the customer back and their life cycle. And just to talk briefly about how do you acquire those customers. And in those early days, it will require, as I said, investment in time and resources, and you might need to even outsource to a digital marketing agency to execute maybe Google Ads, Google Shopping, social media adverts, influencers, display ads, video ads, all ways that you can get outside your geographic reach and appeal to people outside of that geographic reach in national context, 24/7, and appeal to them when they're actually looking for your products. So you acquire them to the site, but then, as I said, it's really important that you retain them. And what are those retention strategies? Things like your email marketing, SMS marketing, building that loyal customer base through that shared values and that shared community. Do you have content that you provide, tips and advice? There's loads of ways to do it. Maybe it's a loyalty program. And just to model that out for you very briefly in terms of that long-term value and what that can look like, we've taken a graph here, and the green box on the left-hand side is the investment in paid acquisition strategies and paid digital advertising. And just to keep the maths easy for today, this retailer is investing €1,000 each month, okay? And they're generating €5,000 from that investment in their paid digital advertising. So kind of a 1 to 5 return would be a fairly good benchmark. And month 1 to 3, they do that. They invest 1,000, they're generating 5,000 in online revenue. But the important point here is in month 4 to 6, they're going to invest €1,000 instead of generating 5, because they know their numbers, they're analyzing, they're tracking what's working, they have tweaked that. So what they were generating was €5,000. They've now optimized that, so they're generating €8,000. And they're also looking at the retention strategies. So the orange box to the right hand side, that's the customer who came in month 1, but through email marketing, through SMS marketing, we've brought them back to the site, and they're now a repeat customer. So from month 4 to 6, you're now generating, on top of the 8K from new customers, you're generating repeat business from returning customers. Month 6 to 12, again, they've continued to look and analyze the numbers. They're still investing 1,000 in paid digital advertising, but they've looked at the channels that are working best. They're now getting a 1 in 10 return on their investment. And again, they've that orange box on the right hand side. They've nearly 4K back there from returning customers. And you can see how that's building a real solid base of new customers, but also building a solid base of established customers that you can engage with and really harvest and mine over the customer journey. And the very final one there is if you're looking to generate 250K over the first 18 to 24 months on the online channel, you know that you're getting a 1 in 10 return, then it makes sense that you invest 2K in your advertising, you're generating 20K, and again, building on your retention. So that's just a very brief whistle-stop tour of the key ingredients for unlocking your online potential. I understand this session is being recorded, so you'll have the opportunity to rewatch or share with other members of your team. And of course, if you have any questions or you want to learn any more, we'd love to hear from you. My details there are up on the screen, and we're also offering a consultation call with any retailers who are really looking to unlock their potential, and Aoife has some details about that as well. Now, I'm delighted to welcome Colin Murtagh, owner and managing director of Murtaghs.ie. Good morning, Colin. We might need to unmute you there. I think, Colin, you're still on mute.
Hi, Orla. Are we good?
We're good. We're good.
That's super information there, Orla.
You what?
That's super information there.
Super information. Well, I'm sure there's lots of people watching this morning who are looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the online channel today. So will we get started?
Yeah, we're great. Yeah.
Great, excellent. Now, so we've brought up the online store. So as I said, we've recently onboarded you on the E-Commerce Magico platform, and we've brought you live with an integration to Intact in the last couple of weeks as well. But this wasn't your first time going online. Can you share with us maybe a little bit about your online journey to date? Because I think that might be valuable for people who might be in a similar situation and might be listening today.
Yeah, okay. So our start on the online journey probably it started from the week after COVID hit back in March 2019 or 2019. So we realized when our shop was going to be closed that we were in a lot of trouble. So I met up with Intact, and within 2 weeks of a conversation with Mark and Intact, they had a website up and running for us with 500 products, a very minimum amount of products. We weren't integrated and we didn't take payment. So those parameters, not having those parameters are very, very difficult, but we sort of were on the fly because of COVID and what had happened. So the process was we built a small catalog, and from the catalog, customers were able to log on and book the product. So they weren't able to pay for it, or they weren't able, and we didn't have an integrated stock. So it was very difficult. But given the COVID times, it was our only way of getting to our customers. So we went through this process probably for about 3-4 months, whereby someone would book a product online, we would ring them back, we'd ensure we had the product, we'd ring them back, and we'd take the payment over the phone. This was sort of online, sort of in a very archaic way, but it was our first journey onto it. But it did get us on the ladder. We've been talking about online for a number of years, but COVID really, really brought it to the fore. So we kept with that for probably 2 years. Actually, we kept with that site, where after 6 months, I think in September, we went and integrated. We went to the next stage with Intact. We integrated and we were able to take payment. So that was fantastic, and we went on that journey for about a year. And then we felt we needed something more than that provider had. So we searched the market and a number of providers to see what was out there. We looked at lots of websites. We spoke to lots of providers, because it's very important that the fix is right, because in the end of the day, it's an expensive investment. And also you're going to be with this provider for quite some time. So you need to be sure we have the right fit, the right connection there. So we, as I say, we took, in the middle of last summer, we went to one of your own webinars, seminars. And from that, we chose yourselves to go with. And I have to say, we went live only in the last 2 weeks, and really and truly now we've gone up, we stepped up another level, and we're in a good place at the moment. We just need more orders, but we're in a good place.
Yeah, great. Well, it's been great working with you. Like one of the big challenges that we see retailers face going online is the product catalog. And that you would have experienced that yourself as well, Colin. Resourcing it is a real mammoth activity to source quality products, imagery, descriptions. You know, sometimes can be a real hurdle for retailers, and sometimes it can often delay projects going live. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you tackled that? Because I know it's a question retailers often ask.
The catalog is obviously the biggest part of the project. So you need very good imagery, clear imagery, and you need good descriptions. And we've 20,000 products on our physical stock file, which probably about 12 of them are live. And obviously we wanted to bring the most important ones across. So we started, obviously initially when we started with the other site, we had only 500, which we grew to 2,000. And then when we went on the AB site, we grew that, we put on another 2,500 products. Now, the issue is, though, mainly that you've got to have good images and consistent backgrounds. So the time in getting that is it's very time consuming. So what we use is we happen to use some students. We trained up a couple of students basically to get a file, to put all the imagery into one particular file, code it, and then get the descriptions right as well, because descriptions is very important also. But the other thing is that to be very aware of, if we are going to go live, that the categories in online and physical shops are different. So you've got to be cognizant of that and know your products. So we sliced and diced our complete stock file and went with our top 1,000 products to start with. And then we sort of moved it out from there. So we only have, I think it's 2,800 products, which is quite small at the moment. We hope to be about another 1,000 before Christmas, and we'll keep growing. But yeah, it is very, very time consuming to get it right. But you need to get it right, because if you don't have consistent imagery, your site it doesn't look professional enough. And equally, the descriptions need to be clear and concise.
It's great to see how you resourced that and brought in, you know, extra hands, because, you know, that can often be a struggle for retailers. So it's great to hear you doing that. The integration was also a very big part, the integration between E-Commerce and Intact for price and stock, real-time stock updates. That was quite essential for you. I know when we talked before, you know, a clean stock file and also the categorization of online and your physical store, you know, that was important. Do you want to maybe comment on that?
Which that again? Sorry, which?
A clean stock file was important for you when building your integration, and also maybe any comments you would have, because often retailers would ask us about the categorization. So we would always consult with retailers on the categorization for the online store, and then retailers maybe sometimes feeling that categorization has to be reflected in their EPOS, you know, but that it actually can be, or in their physical store, but that it can be different.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It's dependent. I think the most important thing is within the categorization on a physical store, you're not thinking about the end user as much, because in the end of the day, that the EPOS system will process this. But from an online point of view, it's different, because the customer is looking in on your category. So you've got to make sure, say, for instance, the like of the brand being first in the description and stuff like that. And you've got your best sellers up and stuff like that also.
Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, that's something that retailers often kind of, you know, need help with as well, getting that categorization together. You've been very progressive in your approach to online, and customers to the online store now on murtas.ie have the option to view the stock availability for products in each of your store locations from the product detail page, and then they can opt for click and collect or home delivery. And that customer journey and meeting the customer's expectations, we kind of mentioned it in the presentation, you know, shopping in store and online, that was an important element for you in the project as well, you know, thinking about the customer first and how seamless that transaction is for customers. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so well, obviously, from a point of view of the actual process and the transaction being seamless for the customer, I think that's where you've got to start and make sure that it's the easiest for the customer. So in the end of the day, we've two locations. So we decided that an important part of our brief to AB was that we had to have stock in both locations. Showing on the system, and the reason for this is we've a premises in Ashburn and we've one in Sandymount, and if all our product sits in Ashburn and someone wants to click and collect in Sandymount, we've got an issue. So we're going to let the customer down, or we're not going to get the product back, because we have a promise that we would try to deliver our customer within 2 to 3 days. So if it's in a different location, that makes it a little bit more difficult for us. So that was important. It was an expensive extra, but the multi-locations made that a little bit harder for us, that we had to do it. The most important thing is our customers. So it's got to be so seamless for them.
And it's great now, they can order, so that, and the control is in the customer's hands, so they can go to the product detail page, they decide, okay, do I want to have it delivered, do I want to go and click and collect it? They can see what stock is available in the store, what is available in the store, so they know if they go down to the store, the stock will be there. And that kind of openness and transparency, I think it adds a lot for your retailers.
Just on that, Orla, in relation to a decision making, something, if someone hasn't been on this journey already, the click and collect and the delivery element is huge. The thought process behind it, because in the hardware trade that we're reasonably soft, so a lot of our items are quite small, but we also have a trade, we have a white van business, so we could end up having to deliver timber or deliver blocks and stuff like that, that we need to be very, very aware that we've it covered on the off chance, which we have before, we've had to deliver eight bags of salt to Achill Island. So that's not a particular job we particularly wanted, but that's why you've got to set your parameters in both click and collect and on delivery. You've got to think that process through, and the costing is relevant to both.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really valid. Colin, I've complimented you and the team before and the speed with which we were able to get you live, but I'd be the first to say that so much of that was down to the organization and the dedication and the time that was allocated by your team to this project. Talk to me about, I suppose, resourcing, maybe the number of people on the project, your own involvement in the project as well, which I think might be of interest.
Yeah, I suppose we're a very small company in the scheme of things, so I felt that I wanted to be a part of this process. I have a fantastic team, as in Mary, our marketing manager. We wouldn't have this site only for Mary from our side of things, and Patrick also runs the online on a day-to-day basis. But from a processing point of view, or from an organization point of view, you've got to be organized for this plan. This is an expensive and long journey, and you need to be organized. So we have a dedicated team. I'm involved, I help, but Mary from our marketing is mainly involved, and then Patrick controls the day-to-day online, from putting product up, imagery up, and also where he would be involved in then getting students in for getting the imagery and all that kind of stuff. But you need a dedicated team. If you don't have a dedicated team, don't go at this project. And I mean that in the nicest possible way.
It's like another store, really, isn't it?
It is another store, so you got to treat it that way. But I think online is so important for all of us. I think everyone has to go on this journey, but you do need to be organized and have your dedicated team. As I say, it is like another store, so we've still got to fulfill some orders, customer service, it's got to be merchandised, you've got to do all that kind of stuff. So it's really important that, and we meet every Tuesday morning. So I'm sitting at the time that we're meant to meet, and we have updates. We're now live with 2,500 to 3,000 products, but we're meeting every Tuesday morning for half an hour, just to see what we can do better, where the mistakes were, what happened last week, why did we give a refund, or whatever that is. And we've just got to keep on top of it, we believe.
Yeah, and absolutely. And again, like we see a lot of retailers, we've 60 or 70 retailers now, so we're dealing with a lot of retailers all the time. They're all on the same version of the platform. but we see some being particularly successful, and we do stand back every so often and look and say, well, what makes this guy successful? Quite often it is that leadership from the top down, you know, and as you say, you're leading this from the top down. You've got a great team behind you, but you are giving it that focus. And then online becomes very much part of the strategy for the company. It's not an afterthought. And I think that's really crucial. And maybe just to finish up, you know, do you want to talk a little bit about the importance? What is the importance of the online channel for yourselves, for Murtagh's, and moving on into the future? And what is the opportunity there?
What is the opportunity? Well, I think we can't be without it. I think this is happening with or without us, and I think we really need to embrace it and not be afraid of this, because online will happen without you or me. So I mean, we felt we had to be part of it. So we took our time joining it, but we're getting there.
Great, brilliant. Well, that's great. I think we're kind of my clock is saying 30 minutes. So Aoife, I'm not sure if you're there.
Hi, Earl, I'm here.
Great. Is there, if there's any other questions from any of those listening, or anything that you wanted us to maybe touch on?
We had a quick question here. Now I'm conscious of time, but we have time for a couple of quick questions. There was a question here asking, so to Colin, and Orly, you can jump in on this if you like as well. Now that the website's live and underway, would you be looking at driving more online sales through, say, a marketplace or that kind of a channel, or are you sticking with that own kind of that own channel that you have in place at the moment?
We've got to get used to where we are now. This is new. This is, well, I won't say it's new for us, but we haven't launched this yet. So we're live 2 weeks. I think we've got to walk through this and make sure it's all correct before we go to the next level or the next task. Absolutely, we look at anything and everything down the track, but I think we've got to make sure that this is right first. So we hope to launch this maybe in the next 3 weeks, coinciding with the top line promotion. But I think that's much more important to us now. But we will look. I'd look at anything, because I think retail is changing day to day, week to week. That we really got to keep our eye on the ball, because we'll all be passed by if we don't sort of keep an eye on what's happening. Hope that answers it.
Yeah, I think you're right in that, you know, and it's kind of something I mentioned in the presentation. There's so many things you can do as a retailer, but it's about deciding, well, what you're doing right now, and even taking that, you know, every 3 months, what am I going to do? Take action on it, optimize it, make sure it's working. You can see Colin's very strategic, well thought out approach. This is what we're doing. We're going online now with Murtagh's.ie. We're going to focus on that, make that a success, but not closing the door on any other opportunities, but that we'll look at those when we've harnessed the opportunity here with Murtagh's.ie. So yeah, I think that's a sensible approach.
Brilliant stuff. We might wrap up shortly, Orla, but just one last question to you. If anyone here wanted to follow up with you and had any queries on their own online journey, what would be their next best course of action?
Talk to us, pick up the phone. We'd be delighted to talk to anybody. Yeah, and more than happy to have a conversation with anybody who would be looking to go down that road. But I think Colin has kind of alluded to the fact that you know, you need to do it right. You need to pick a provider that will you know, that will be available to kind of work with you and allow you to grow over the next 3 to 5 years. You will need to think about, you know, where you're going to get your product catalog, your images, your descriptions, and how you're going to resource that internally as well. And Colin, you would have mentioned some of the grant funding as well as being a great opportunity to allow you to do things right, get online first, and then also maybe have a budget, as I said, to invest in marketing activities as well, because the getting online is just the first step. You then need to actually acquire the customers. So you need to have a budget for all of those things. And I think you need to be very real in your, you know, what's required there. And I think Colin has given a very truthful and kind of honest information and kind of guidance to retailers on that. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add to that, Colin.
Yeah, well, just from our side, thanks, Aoife, that obviously Orla gives the side from AB's side and the provider side. I equally would be happy and have spoken to a number of retailers looking at this journey. We by no means are the experts, far from it, but I'm very, very happy to chat with people who want to go on the journey and who would like a little bit of information or guidance, because we're all here in this industry to help each other. But Orla also mentioned the EI grant is huge. I mean, that was something I forgot. I had a couple of notes and I obviously forgot that one, but the EI grant, we've got it twice. The first time around, we got 80% of our budget, or sorry, you got 80% of what you went in for, and up to, I think, 60 or 80 grand. And then the second time you can get 50% around. So it's really helpful and well worth looking into.
Brilliant. Now there's so many grants available at the moment, and we'll be happy to share the information with members on the grants that are available, that they are very helpful. And there's grants, there's programs available, there's, I'm sure, the different resources to help really get people up to speed on what they should be doing. Colin, I just had one very quick last question that came in from someone. It actually is very timely, just with we have a campaign going on at the moment promoting career opportunities in the industry, and we're liaising with a lot of students. Where did you source the students that you mentioned for the work and the stock filing?
Okay, locally. So we would be very, very community orientated out here in Ashburn. We do a lot in the community itself, and as a result, we have a program that when we bring in transition students, so when we bring in transition students and they come in for their couple of weeks, we tend to take them afterwards and take the good ones and take note of them, and then we will possibly use them further down the track. And we've built them up over the years. So students, and they were great, and they have much more knowledge than the likes of us, because they're younger, more computer savvy. So if we give them a brief, which we would have a template and a set of rules that they use, or any student. So if we use 4 or 5 different students, then they all have the same parameters if we have the guidelines. So locally.
Brilliant stuff. So it's really just reaching out to local students, local areas. Yeah. That's fantastic. Great. No, great that worked as well. So that's always, even just for finding people in this area, reaching out to students and young people in the local area, local colleges, universities, it really is something that we're really trying to promote to members as well. So great to have a success story behind that too. So thanks for that, Colin.
The transition thing is really important, because as I say, as they get older, obviously, if we take in maybe 20 a year, so you're bound to get 4 or 5 out of that every year, and they obviously then, as they get older, they get more knowledgeable. It's a good resource.
Brilliant stuff. No, thanks very much for that, Colin.
No problem.
Great. So we might wrap up there, just because we're hitting 22. So I'm just going to say, first of all, thanks very much, Orla and Colin. It was really very insightful, and hopefully the attendees this morning found it helpful and took something from it. Anyone attending today, if you want to arrange a consultation call with Orla and the team in Magico to have a chat about starting your online journey or really improving any of your current processes or your online presence, we'll be happy to arrange that. This session is recorded, so I'll be getting the recording to everyone early next week, along with any other resources that Orla and the team will be happy to share with me. And likewise, if anyone wants to have a chat with Colin directly about his journey, if he has any advice that you'd like to chat with him about in more detail, I'll be happy to make that arrangement too. But Orla, if there's any last notes that you want to add, or Colin, to the group before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so, but open to chatting to anybody, and thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always great to have these discussions.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Guys.
Thanks a million.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.